Ever since the character Snoke was revealed, there have been countless amounts of theories over who he may be, from Darth Plagueis to even Jar Jar Binks, but we rarely ever hear of him being the character from the Old Republic era, which was set thousands of years prior to the movies. So who is the Sith Emperor? He was the first Sith Emperor to ever exist in Star Wars Legends. He went by two names, first as Vitiate to his Sith Empire, and later as Valkorion when he ruled the Eternal Empire. He was one of the most powerful Sith Lords ever to live, up there with even Darth Sidious. One of his more notable force powers was the ability to transfer his consciousness into other beings, taking over their bodies as if they were his own, allowing him to cheat death, and he did this for thousands of years. Now we know that he's from the old Star Wars timeline and isn't canon yet. However, the fact of there once being a Sith-controlled galaxy is true, as stated by Emperor Palpatine in Revenge of the Sith.
Once more, the Sith will rule the galaxy.
And as we know how the Sith work, there was most likely a Sith Emperor on top of the hierarchy ruling over the galaxy. On top of that, the Sith Emperor has characteristics that would make sense for him to reappear once more after thousands of years of hiding. His patience was second to none, occasionally referring to himself to having the patience of stone and the will of the stars. He literally planned for thousands of years on taking over the galaxy, constructing two galactic empires within his life. He also was able to defeat his greatest enemies by simply just outliving them while in hiding. What we know of Snoke is that he saw the rise and fall of the galactic empire, and that he is extremely powerful in the dark side, giving him characteristics of someone with great patience who was able to outlive potentially his greatest enemy at the time, Emperor Palpatine. And while he waited, he was also secretly constructing a military that would later become the First Order, after it absorbed the remnants of Palpatine's old empire, using them once again to claim the galaxy for himself. Now, the biggest reason we think the Sith Emperor could be Snoke isn't from the in-universe lore of Star Wars, but rather from the behind-the-scenes of these stories, and the recent events involving Dave Filoni no longer being the supervising director of Star Wars Rebels. And for those of you who don't know, he was also the supervising director of the Clone Wars. It is heavily rumored that Dave Filoni's departure from Rebels has to do with him being the new supervising director for a brand new Star Wars animated series. We believe this new animated series will take place in the Old Republic era. Why do we think this? Because Disney understands that there's a huge fan base centered around the Old Republic, the largest fan base to an era of Star Wars that is not connected to the main 7 Star Wars movies. And the way Disney sees it, this large loyal fan base can make them a ton of extra cash. So what if, in Episode 8, it is revealed that Snoke was the ancient Sith Emperor that Palpatine indirectly referred to in Revenge of the Sith? This newfound knowledge would cause millions of Star Wars fans who only watched the movies to wonder who he was, and what was the old Sith Empire that he used to rule. Then, shortly after this is revealed in the movie, Disney announces a brand new animated Star Wars show centered around the Old Republic era, along with new books, comics, and even video games that center around the same time period. This would not only cause millions of fans from both the casual and hardcore corners of the fanbase to purchase all this new material centered around the Old Republic, but would also greatly expand the canon universe of Star Wars. They could give us the history of the Mandalorians and what happened to them and their planet, and led them to become pacifists by the time of the Clone Wars. We could get background information on the Darksaber and how it was obtained by Pre Vizsla's ancestor. We could possibly see the epic battle that took place on Malachor that led to all the burnt corpses. We can finally see for the first time on screen hundreds of Sith fighting hundreds of Jedi, and possibly even near the end of this series, we can see Darth Bane implement the Rule of Two and what his motivations were for doing so. The possibilities are endless. Along with the introduction of many new characters, we will most definitely see old characters like Revan, Malak, and Bane, who will most likely face the same treatment that Thrawn has, where they are new characters within the canon, but are very similar to their Legends counterparts, maybe even following a similar storyline to the one seen in Legends. And having Dave Filoni be the supervising director of this would be perfect, as he is a major fan of the Old Republic. So much so that he already has introduced elements of it within the current Rebels TV show, like the Hammerhead Cruisers and the Great Scourge of Malachor. He even wanted to include Darth Revan in one episode of the Clone Wars, but he was ultimately not allowed to do so because of George Lucas. Maybe this new series and time period of Star Wars could even be targeted to more mature audiences as well. giving it the same tone and maturity as seen in the current Old Republic games and books, giving the older fans something new and fresh within the Star Wars canon. Let us know in the comments below what you guys think of this theory and our reasoning for it. And more importantly, do you want this to happen? To have an Old Republic era be reintroduced back into the canon, and have it possibly answer all of the questions we have on the origins of many factions and items seen in the new canon of Star Wars. Thanks for watching this video. Be sure to subscribe for more videos like this one. And as always, may the Force be with you.